Good morning. It's Friday. It's 11 o'clock, so it must be time for Fridays with Flanagan. I don't know. Button closed, button open. Let's go with a button open. There you go. Cool. Welcome. I'm Greg Flanagan. This is Fridays with Flanagan every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Eastern Standard after, I don't know, November. We come to you live and we talk about what's on my mind, maybe what's on your mind. It all depends on what the day is and how I'm feeling about it. Yeah, that's what's great about having your own show. You can do what you want to do. We are in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, Somerville, South Carolina, and it's a beautiful day. We're about 88 degrees, 75% humidity, and people say, "Well, that's not bad." Well, it feels like 102. The humidity, even though the temperature is lower, humidity gets up there, and we have a nice sweat-inspired day, we call it. It's nice. But years ago, when I first moved down here, 26 years ago, I'm originally from upstate New York, actually born in Brooklyn, raised in Long Island, spent years in upstate New York. Um, you know, when you live in that polar region, yeah, it's polar, you grow a very thick skin. And when I first got down here, I used to sweat profusely. It was horrible. As I acclimated over the last 26 years, you actually do, according to the doctors, grow more sweat pores, which allows the cool breeze to cool your body. Yeah, listen to that. You're still going to sweat. It's 88 degrees. It's 75. But there's only about 20% chance of rain, which will probably happen in the afternoon. And it's a beautiful day outside, as you can see from my mirrors in the back. So if you can hear me, raise your hand. There you go. I think we got our hands raised. We're in good shape. Yep. Just checking the microphone, and we are on. Good. Okay. You know, it's been a rough week for personally for me. I've had some friends experience losses, tragic losses, expected losses. I had the birth of a new grandson, number 13, this Sunday or Saturday morning. Uh, Spending a little time in NICU, getting his breath into him, and all these things have said, it might not be a skill based show today. A little bit more introspective of how I got here, what I'm doing here, and where I'm going forward. And I look back on my life, and it's listen. I've been around for 8 decades. Think about that. 8 decades. Not many people are going to be able to say that as they go on. If you were born later in a decade, you might be able to, and that's what it was with me. Um, there have been a lot of people that have influenced me over my life from when I was a child right up until, every day I get influenced by different people and thoughts and thought processes. Uh, it's really, really, it's life changing. It's empowering. So I wanted to share with you three of the people that made a difference in my life. They weren't the only three people. They were three people that kind of stuck out and I can talk about at length at will. And let me just pull up the slides so I stay on track and we all, here we are, Power Onward. That is my coaching company name. Fridays with Flanagan is a show I've been putting on for almost 3 years. A little bit more production based over the last year, but Power Onward been in business for about a year, and we provide coaching and mentoring to newer agents that are just starting in the business. And my goal there with the newer agents is to save them money. Made a lot of mistakes when I got in this business. I want to share that with other people. To this day, I can help you because these mistakes are still happening, and they're crazy mistakes without a mentor. Uh, you can reach out and touch me on that later. Just send me a DM. The I can help a team. I've been a team. I'm very well trained in teams. I understand the concept. I understand what needs to be done, and there are different teams for different folks. Personally, I run a team. It is based towards the new agent, right? The person who doesn't really know where they go. We try to spend 12 months together, me teaching you, you learning from me how to run a business, what you need to know, and And then after the 12th month, if you want to leave, you leave. And that's great. You leave with some kind of knowledge, and we continue our conversation later. So that's Power Onward. Join me as I pull back the curtain on some of the best kept secrets of the real estate world. Each week, we dive into what's happening in the market and how we, as professional real estate agents, should be responding. This week, it's all about mindset, folks. Mindset. Um, who do you know? Where do you go? I want to share one thing that happened over the week. Back when you've all heard this story before. When I was a newer agent, man, I had to win. I had to win, and I became, as the years went on. I ran into thankfully a senior agent, somebody with a little bit more emotional maturity than I had at the time, and I was blasting her for something, and she said, "Wait a second, nobody dies in real estate. This is not a life and death situation. Tone down your emotion. Think about it in a logical way." And I've done that over the years. And I just had a situation here within the last few days, and the young lady, very good agent, I'm not saying anything bad about it, but she was ratcheting that conversation up over a sale that over a $200. Hey, we'll pay you 200. We want five. You know, get to a win-win situation. Get your EQ in line with what we're doing here. It's not life and death, man. As I've learned over this last week, again and again and again, there are bigger things going on in the world. So I struggled for a title today, and I called it "Maybe Once in Every Person's Life, Someone Impacts You." Us, you, whichever way it is. And this goes back to we are constantly learning. And as we learn, um, we'll see. Hopefully this records. Stand by. Technical difficulties. All right, I think we got it. Don't know what happened there. Anyway, maybe once in every person's life, someone impacts us, and that's what we're going for here today. We're going to talk about that, and I want to share three people. So, of course, my favorite quote, Napoleon Hill: "We are the masters of our fate, the captains of our souls, because we have the power to control our thoughts." This right here controls everything around us. We allow whatever affects us, we allow it through our ears into our minds, and then we make a story. The more we filter this coming in, the calmer our body's going to get. Okay? We are the masters of our fate and the captains of our souls because we have the power to control our thoughts. Yeah, great quote from Napoleon Hill. My quote is, "Stop telling yourself stories. Don't tell yourself stories. It works." Who impacts your life? We're going to talk about mentors, influencers, and guides. Um, one of my marketing statements, value statements, whichever way you want to talk about it, is let us be the guide to your future. Right? Let us be the guide to your future. I can't do it for you, but I can guide you through it. I've had many mentors. I've had many influences, as I said, and I've had a few guides. And the guides, I think, are the ones that helped me the most. Um, they were by my side. I tell new agents that come to work on the team, hey, it's about me not telling you what to do. It's about us walking together and you following along and asking questions. I'm going to guide you. Should I make a right? Should I make a left? Should I buy this? Should I buy? That's what I do for a living. Okay. I am my agent's resource. Who impacts your life? Hopefully I'm impacting theirs so that they find a value in me. And I'm going to share who impacted mine. If we get a little long-winded here, let me know. So something I wrote I think last year. Maybe if you're lucky, you have the once in a lifetime opportunity of having a person who comes along who believes more in you than you do in yourself. That person who sees your dream more vividly and with more clarity than you dare to allow yourself to see. That person who will guide you, walk beside you, and will help you conquer the obstacles you encounter on your journey. A person who is caring enough to be honest with you, that person who shines the light on you and not themselves. Um, I believe in this wholeheartedly, that it's not about it's the most influential people in my life never bragged that they were influencing me, and that's important. It was about me. It was them noticing. And we're going to go through a few of them here. Sorry about that. I am without my chief person today. Keep her in your prayers. So for me, there were three people, and as I said, I grew up in Long Island, New York, and pretty much stayed there until I graduated high school. Had a full scholarship to college. Didn't go. I was making money back then. I was making a couple $100 a week, and that was a lot of money in 1976. Uh, but there were three people, and the first person I want to talk about is Kono Capabianco. We called him Chico because that was his name. Kono was a Spitfire guy, maybe 4'9", 4'10". Ran a very successful trucking business, among other businesses. Had all the toys, and I looked towards Kono for. I think he gave me the entrepreneurial spirit. I saw that he was able to make money. I mean, gosh, he'd pull out this before credit cards, folks. Everybody used to carry cash, and he'd pull out a wad of bills, and the outside wasn't a bunch of ones; they were $100 bills. And if he needed to pay for something, he'd take that off. Greg, go pay for that. It was he always had something going on the side. He had his three trucks, kept them busy all day, tractors that he pulled trailers with from the ports of New York and all through Long Island and New Jersey. And he taught me that doing more than the others brought more money, more respect, and more privilege. He gave me more responsibility than the other boys in the neighborhood. And without knowing it, he made me feel important. And that's important to all of us as salespeople, because when we knowingly help people feel important about themselves, they endear themselves to us, and that's important to us, right? Because we are our wealth managers. That's how we make money, help our families, and everything else. What I see in Kono, though, what I see in Chico, was that he poured into his top 20%. Um, I'm going to read this out because it's going to be easier. It makes more sense. Everyone called him Chico. He owned a trucking company in my hometown of Deer Park, New York. He operated from his home next to the schoolyard, and he kept his three trucks, all fours, along the fence line. Chico always had something going on in his yard that could keep the neighborhood kids busy, and he'd pay us a couple of dollars to move things from one place to the other, and sometimes just to clean the place up. Not that it was ever dirty. He just kept us busy. And then once in a while, there were jobs that were bigger and ranged over a few days. One such job found us scrapping new, in the wrapper, World War II drive shaft bearings. Folks, if you don't know what they are it's a yoke with four bearings coming out each side, and they would drive your drive shaft. That's how the Jeeps would go. Put them in four-wheel drive. There were like 8 of them on every Jeep, and these were surplus. The war had ended. The Jeeps were obsolete. I guess he bought a container full of them. And in the early 70s, we were probably 12, 14 years old. These bearings were wrapped in a cosmoline, and it's a protective coating that the salt air can't get through. It's almost a fiberglass grease. You'd have to take the cosmoline, crack it on the side of a 55-gallon oil barrel, and break out the parts and throw the cosmoline away and keep the scrap metal. We were scrapping metal. Okay, we would do that all day. Chico would bring in lunch, make sure we had water, but we were in a trailer like you see on the highway, and there were 3, 4 of us in there. It was a big job. It took us probably a couple of weeks to get through, and uh, grab the bearing, knock it down, crack it open, and metal would be scrapped. Chico would be paid by the pound eventually. He'd drag the whole tractor away and get paid. It was monotonous work. He kept us in cold water, hearty lunches. The 3 other guys took a lot of breaks, griped a lot, and did about half the work that I did. And we were paid by the hour, by whatever Chico thought we were worth. And what made me not join into bitching, and this is important. I wasn't. To this day, I don't do a lot of bitching. I try to be a little bit more solution oriented. Yes, I'm going to say that this is wrong, that's wrong. That's part of my nature, part of my DNA. Uh, but I didn't do a lot of complaining. You hired me to do something, I did it. One of the reasons was Chico was the kind of guy that, boy, he had some. He was Italian. He could speak Italian, and he had a nickname for everybody except me. I don't understand that. I felt left out there. But Chico could cut you down pretty quick. He'd cut you down pretty quick, especially if you were goofing off or you were lazy. So I didn't want that coming down on me. At the end of the day, getting back to where I was going, at the end of the day, Chico would pay us cash. Like I said, he had this roll of bills. Back then, a few bucks went a long way. And that particular job, I saw Chico handing the other kids $20 a piece. That was a lot of money, guys. That was a lot of money. We used to work for $1 an hour, $1.10 an hour. I was the last guy he paid, and he peeled off 2 $20 bills and handed them to me and said, "Good job. You're a hard worker." And $40 back then was a lot of money to me. It was 1972. I was maybe in 8th, 9th, 10th grade. $40 was a ton of money. And I was like, wow. What I took from that was I was a hard worker. And in Chico's eyes, I delivered more value than he expected. Right? I worked hard, I delivered the value, and I underpromised and overdelivered. And I think that's the important takeaway here. He taught me that if you work hard, somebody's going to notice it. Somebody's going to notice it, and somebody's going to reward you for it. Still to this day, I work and I look for that. I don't look for the reward, but I know I'm going to outwork you. So he taught me hard work does pay, and I continue to do that. The next group of people, husband and wife team, and they were originally from New York. Andy and Mary Bonatakis. We called them Bonnie and Betsy. Bonnie for his last name, Betsy because her last name was, I don't remember, but it was Mary Elizabeth, probably came from the Elizabeth part of it. Anyway, we called them Bonnie and Betsy. I met these folks when I was about 10 or 12 years old. And it was kind of odd thing. My family we were campers back then. My father was a city cop. We were campers. We were going out to the end of Long Island. My uncle Bill said, "Hey, my buddy bought a campground up in upstate New York. You want to go up there and spend a week?" So we went up and spent a week. 1969. I remember that year. It was pretty. A lot of things went on in '69, and I was young. I was 10 years old, 11 years old. We went up there. Enjoyed the experience of being in the woods. We were tenters back then. Enjoyed the experience of being in the woods. And my folks decided to go up as a seasonal every year. They'd actually go up, pitch a tent, eventually a camper, and I became an employee. I became like the only son that Bonnie and Betsy had. They had daughters, and the way they got to the area was he worked for Procter and Gamble. My uncle worked for Procter and Gamble. Bonnie was a salesperson. My uncle was a Teamster driver, and that's how they knew each other. Betsy was a delivery nurse, somewhere in Manhattan, I believe, and their youngest daughter tragically died from a suicide. And they were probably in their mid 40s at the time, late 40s, and they reevaluated their life. Reevaluated their life, and they sold everything off. They quit their jobs. They took a drive, took a year hiatus off, spent some time up in the woods in that area. They wound up buying this campground. They knew camping, but they didn't know the particulars of the campground. And over the next, now, their relationship was one that was kind of a little bit, outwardly it was very tense. They tolerated each other. She was a nurse. Things had to be done right. Things had to be perfect. And Bonnie was pretty much a big old Greek guy that was learning on the fly. He wasn't a plumber. He wasn't an electrician. He wasn't. He learned this as the years of the campground went on. And even after they sold the campground, I stayed with them for years. They were like second parents to me. And what I found from them is they were committed, not only to to the campground, which they took from 113 acres of maybe 50 sites, turned it into 110 sites with all kinds of activities and stuff going on. They were committed to making the campground work. They were committed to each other. Um, Even though outwardly it looked like they constantly bickered, and I saw the inside, and I saw how they were committed to each other, how they helped each other. It was a strange couple, but it showed me that you can have some dissension. You cannot you don't have to like everything about a person. You don't have to tolerate everything about a person. And then again, you do tolerate it. It just showed me commitment in your spouse, in a plan, in the outcome. And it showed me that nothing less than 100% is a commitment. When you say you're going to do something right, do something, be committed to it. In our world, in the real estate world, I think that comes down to professionalism, being taught, learning, and doing it right. There are many, many ways to go around and be a real estate agent. And if you want to do the shortcuts, that's you. But to me, being committed to excellence, being committed to being a professional, being committed to being knowledgeable about your business, that's important to me. And throughout my life, I've been committed. I've been committed to different things. Now, you can have a commitment, and when that commitment's over, you reach your goal. That's fine. Go find another commitment. But, you know, deliver more than expected and be committed. Two things that it's going to take a lot for me not to do it for you. Um, I had a so again about 4 or 5 years ago, one of my operating principals came to me. I was supposed to do a fundraiser through one of the committees I was on. I was in charge of the committee, and we were letting it lag, and he stopped in my office. He said, "What's going on with this fundraiser? I'm supposed to raise $30,000, and we were about 4 or 5 weeks out. I really hadn't put a lot of effort into it. I was working on my business, my personal business." And he said to me, he says, "How committed are you?" And I looked at him and I said, "Yeah, I don't know, maybe 80%." He goes, "So what you're telling me is you're not committed." So you can't be 80% committed. You can't be 90% committed. There's only one commitment. The word commitment means you are 100% committed. So when you commit to something, hold it. I know I do, and it's very important to me. And this is what these folks taught me. Be committed. The last guy out there, a guy by the name of Larry Riggs. Wow, Larry was something else. I'm getting to the end of my time here, but Larry was something else. I met Larry in 2000. I think it was like 2006, 2007. I was just starting my career as a real estate agent. Um, didn't know a lot. I knew I had to work hard. I knew I had to be committed to what I was doing, and I was. I'd get up every day, and look at the expired, sit down with a phone book, look for the numbers. No, we didn't have the internet where you could just type the numbers in. Look for the numbers. I'd call the phone all day. This guy, Larry, came in. The girls that were running the brokerage, beautiful, wonderful women, uh, not too business minded, just figured everybody's going to pay us. Um, Larry came in to bail him out. Larry was a businessman. He had many occupations. He'd done all kinds of things. I could list it all day long. Larry came in, started running the company, saw that I was there, saw that I was doing what Kono taught me, right? Saw that I was committed like the Bonatakis has taught me. And he saw that I was there every day. He saw that I was working every day. He saw that I was active in my group, helping other people. And he also saw that I wasn't getting a lot of support. He came in and he helped me. He talked to the owners. They gave me an office. They said, "Don't lose this guy." He identified me as talent. Okay, he identified me as a person that could help their business grow. As it was, I was spending my money to market their business, and he identified that too. Um, he cleared some obstacles for me to make me a better businessman. He taught me quite a bit. Uh, Larry had cancer. Larry had bladder cancer, and Larry fought bladder cancer for about 9 years. I didn't notice it first. Actually, the first time I saw Larry, it was kind of funny. He was laying on the floor fixing. The man was a millionaire, by the way. He's a millionaire. On the floor, upside down, fixing a leaking pipe in this business that he just happened to buy into. A week before there was a little drip. He was down there, and I realized that he was sick. He had an exterior colostomy bag on. And I was like, what is this guy doing? What is he doing? Well, he was living life. He was presented with an obstacle of his cancer, and he was living life. And I can go on and give you different scenarios over the years that I knew Larry, and he lived for quite a few more years. But, I want to point out a couple of them. In 2008, when the market crashed, if you were around back then in real estate, the market had already gone down in real estate in 2007. But in 2008, the stock market crashed. I called Larry on my regular call. We became good friends over the year. And I said, "How you doing, man? You all right?" He says, "Well, I used to be a millionaire." And that was an obstacle now. I mean, he was heavily invested into the stocks. Uh, did it stop him? No. Within 4 months, he had made up his losses, right? And he started to exceed those losses. He started to exceed them to the point where he was doing it really well. He went around the obstacle. If somebody threw something at him, Larry went around it. As he progressed into his cancer and it became more painful, he said to me one day, he says, "I'm going to go to Alaska." And I said, "Larry, you're in pain, man. Are you sure it's something you want to do?" He said, "Listen, I could feel like crap here, or I could feel like crap in Alaska. I want to go to Alaska." So he bought himself a coach seat, which I told him, no, you're not buying yourself a coach seat. We had an argument over that. Finally got himself a first class seat, thankfully. And bought himself a coach seat, got a first class seat, went to Alaska, went on a cruise, enjoyed himself, came back. This was Larry overcoming obstacles, right? He did a few things there. He overcame the obstacle, and he gave to me without expectation of return. He was a mentor. And that's what this whole thing is about, right? It's about mentors, guides, and influences. These are people, they come into your life. You might not know it at the time, but these are the people that are going to help you get to your next level. Keep your eye open for them, and keep your heart open for them. And please, pay it forward, right? None of these people are with me anymore. And this goes back to the loss over the last week. Um, None of these people are with me anymore. I wish they were. So pay it forward, find your mentors, thank your mentors, Of course, we're Fridays with Flanagan every Friday. Any one of our Power Onward Network, Mastermind, Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn. Drop your emails in the comments. I'll send you free stuff. Man, just sign up. Got a good website. We got a lot of free stuff, objection handlers, scripts, anything you're looking to do, we got it. And you can find them at poweronwardmastermind.com. Greg at poweronwardmastermind.com. If you have referrals out there, you're watching this, you want to send a referral down to us, we will never embarrass you. We will never embarrass you if you send us one of your people. Okay, we treat them like family. We're going to keep you updated, and we're going to make sure that they get what they need, not what we need. It's part of our value statements and our standards. We always put our clients first, and just the way we work. Hey, love you all. Have a great weekend. Be prosperous. If you need me, drop me an email. I'm pretty booked up, but I'll send you a Calendly link. Just sign in, and you're good to go. We're helping people all week, and it's part of the paying it forward, right? Have a great week.